Yeah, it was such a strange game because it it just lacked. You watch and let's talk about the Nuggets and Clippers. That game was great.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, the intensity of that game from the first minute was just insane. And I really thought the Clippers, I picked the Clippers, I think, in 6 or 7 games in this series. Better coach, better defense. I thought they'd, and by the way, I think I still like the Clippers. But I thought it's funny about Jokic. He's not a very good defender. But I was thinking about this. I went on a long walk today, and I was thinking about that series in the game. Is that historically, it's not just that he scores, he rebounds, he's got the ball in his hands. You cannot ask a 7 foot guy that's 265 to honestly carry the offense, including the ball handling and the passing. Kareem could score 30, he wasn't handling the ball, right? And so it's like Jokic isn't, he doesn't put a lot of effort. I mean, Harden blew past him about 6 times in the first half. But I will say this in the last 5 minutes, he does lock in. He's not a great defender, but the last 5 minutes of the game, everybody on the Nuggets was playing real defense. They were locking in. He was putting bodies on people. But as I watched Jokic, I'm like, listen, man, look at the size of him. Nobody asked Kareem or Shaq or Akeem to bring the ball up, set the screens, direct traffic. I almost give him a pass defensively because I do think late in games, he's much more engaged on that end.
I thought he was pretty great on defense for the entire second half of that game and most of the second part of the second quarter. There was a timeout right when the Clippers went up, I think 51-36. And Jokic came out right out of the timeout and just started pressuring the heck out of Zoo and was just flying around making extra efforts. And he was brilliant in his pick and roll defense in the second half, getting deflections, forcing turnovers. And while I agree with you, Colin, that it's ridiculous to ask Nikola Jokic to be the most high usage player that we've seen really in recent NBA history, while also having to be such an important part of their defense. It is a lot to ask, and I totally agree with you. But the Nuggets need him to be if they're going to
Yeah.
win. And to his credit, that's what he was. It's what he became in the second half of that game. And like, I also thought he did a really nice job of just taking what the defense was giving him at late in the game. Like, he was trusting Russell Westbrook repeatedly over and over again on these kickouts and on these cuts to be the guy that can make the defense pay for ignoring him. And I just thought Jokic was amazing. And honestly, Colin, like I will never change my pick after one game. I'm with you. You need to get 2 games worth of evidence, but I was really disappointed in the Clippers and their overall just kind of like connective playmaking. Kawhi Leonard, as amazing as he can be a robotically efficient scorer, but
Yeah.
he's never been good at managing double teams. He's never been a very good passer.
No.
I remember for the first like decade of his career, or not quite, it was like the first like 7 or 8 years of his career, he never logged a single game with 7 assists. Like he just
Yeah.
struggled to
Oh,
to
I think
generate shots for
he
his
he
teammates.
averaged 1 or 2 for
Oh yeah.
several years.
Yeah, and like he's never been a great playmaker. The connective playmakers like Chris Dunn, an elite defensive player, a guy that can knock down those shots in the
Yeah.
corner, but you start making him make decisions that could get tough. There was plays where Nick Batum was fumbling the ball around. Even Zoo a little bit, the read and react stuff can slow down. And so honestly, like Denver, I think has a more realistic pathway to win this series than people think, because I don't think they have to be that great defensively to slow down this Clippers team. They just have to be good enough to prey on that indecision that they have, to prey on those mistakes. Like you can double Kawhi, Colin. You can double
Yeah.
Kawhi, and he's going to make some mistakes. And so I do think they have some advantages here. And I came away from that game feeling like Denver had a better chance to win the series than I thought beforehand.
Sorry to interrupt this great video, but please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you. Now back to the video. It's really interesting. So I've never been a huge fan of Westbrook, and I say this, I'm not a huge fan of basketball players that are hyper athletic, 6'4" and under, and can't shoot. Because without the hand check, they will get to the basket and eventually get hurt. Derrick Rose, John Wall, um, Ja Morant. Like it's just a cliche. You can't stay in front of these guys. They get to the basket and just get clobbered. And that's why guys like Steve Nash or Curry can last longer because they can pull up and they don't have to always finish at the rim. And Westbrook, when they put him in late in the game, what the announcer said, you get it, it's the full experience with Russell Westbrook, and he did not shoot well. He hit a big three, but I got to tell you something. His The one thing I will defend him forever. When he's on the floor, you know he's on the floor. He jumps. His
Oh
energy is
yeah.
profound. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
he is a tremendous rebounder for his size. He plays way bigger than his size. And I came out of that and I'm like, listen, man, he didn't shoot well. He had one big three. He was a big deal down the stretch. He just he's just going so fast. He doesn't have a ton of self awareness. I mean, he's kind of like blinders on. I'm going to the basket. And you're like, Russ, no, 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 no. Situationally, sometimes he can drive me crazy. I thought he was so important down the stretch for them.
The biggest weakness that Russ has had in his career is he only has one speed, and that's
Yeah.
like just balls to the walls, like at like 100% intensity. He doesn't know how to play any other way, and so that just manifests in a lot of mistake making, but it also can manifest in a lot of playmaking.
Yes.
Like I thought, there's always this scale with Russ where it's like, will the damaging plays outweigh the
That's
good
that's
plays that he
exactly
makes?
right.
And that game yesterday was such a perfect example of what happens when the good badly or greatly outweighs the bad. Like he was fantastic down the stretch of that game. He like straight up bullied Kawhi Leonard one on one and got an offensive rebound putback. He had the big steal at the end when the Clippers cut it to 3 and they had a chance to tie the game at the end. Hits the big three in the left corner, repeatedly found himself available as a cutter under the basket with Jokic. You mentioned the rebounding. Like I think Russ is one of the better defensive playmakers in the NBA. He is not a disciplined defender. He will make a lot of mistakes and he'll gamble a lot. But if he gambles and gets right a couple times in a row, they can be massive momentum swings. And dating all the way back, I mean, Colin, that first year that he went from the Lakers to the Clippers, before Kawhi got hurt. If you remember in that first couple of games, the Clippers looked really good against the Suns. Kawhi was like kicking KD's butt head to head, and Russ was amazing. He was a wrecking ball in the early part of that series, did an amazing job defending Devin Booker because he's just this big athlete that just never has an off button, and he can be a devastating playmaker. The key is keeping him in a very small role. And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of what the Nuggets can do with him is they can keep him in a very small role. They could even be like, hey, Russ's head is not in it tonight. Sit him, bring in Michael Porter Jr. Like they have the ability to play Russ when he's hot and to pull him when he's not. And that's the flexibility you need to benefit from that playmaking.
I thought one of the things that was great about that game, there were so many years in the NBA. I mean, Harden and Kawhi. I mean, that center for the Clippers, 10 years, I think, isn't it? For Zubats.
For
I think,
Zoo?
yeah, it's 10
Yeah, he's been in the
years.
league for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, Lakers, Clippers, Jamal Murray, Jokic, Michael Porter's been around. Christian Brown's a young guy, obviously. Batum's been around forever. And it was really cool. It was a veteran NBA tug of war. Both rosters knew they're going to let us play. They're going to let us play. Like some of these young teams, like they're like, whoa, there's no, there's no whistles. Like it's like,
Yeah.
it's just a whole different ball game. You and I have discussed this. Like they're just going to let guys play, and the further you go, but it was like the Clippers and the Nuggets was like that was grown up men's basketball. First, everybody knew they could push a little more and they could lean on you a little bit more, and the physicality just. I was just sitting there. I didn't miss a second. I thought this is great basketball. And I said this. I don't you have to understand in football or hockey, you can't take a playoff. You can get hurt. In baseball, it's pitcher against batter. Nobody wants to be embarrassed. There's an intensity that's guaranteed between the pitcher and the batter. But in basketball, there's a lot of games, and these are big bodies. And if you've ever seen a retired 6'10" NBA player, they look like they got tackled. I mean, they're just walking. They have bad backs, and it's like you cannot expect these guys to play 38 to 44 minutes, 82 games in the regular season, and play with this kind of intensity. They're traveling constantly. But you get into the playoffs, and Denver and the Clippers was like, oh, snap. First possession. And it's like, I think it has the makings of an incredible series. Just all these veteran players. I don't know. I just sat there and I was like, damn, this is great basketball.
We know how everybody plays. Like we know Kawhi's game so well now. We know James Harden's game so well now. We know what the Murray Jokic two-man game looks like. Aaron Gordon, what he can do. I think the most fascinating chess match, so to speak, of this series, or like kind of subplot of this series. I do think the Clippers are more talented. I think they're top four
Yes.
when you factor in all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think that the Nuggets looked like the smarter team in that game. Now, this is an interesting example of how it can come down to the players because David Adelman, obviously a rookie coach getting his first opportunity. We have Ty Lue, who's a championship winning coach who's well respected as a top five coach in this league. But you get into the game and it's like Aaron Gordon has James Harden on him and he just knows all these little ways to punish James Harden for not having the size. And the Nuggets know when Aaron Gordon has that type of matchup, how they can capitalize on it with his offensive rebounding or in two-man game with Jokic. They know, like, even Jamal Murray, it's like, oh, his mid-range jump shot was just terrible in that game. He could not buy a mid-ranger. Right in clutch time, he just switches to taking threes and hits two massive threes down the stretch. The two-man game with Jokic and Murray was so effective down the stretch that the Clippers started triple teaming it. They brought a third defender over every single time. They knew how to get the ball to Christian Brown. They knew how to get the ball to Russell
Yeah.
Westbrook. The Nuggets are just so sure of how they want to play every single possession.
Yeah.
That like they are just more reliably going to get to their ceiling than the Clippers, who I think can suffer from a little bit of inconsistent basketball IQ on the roster, and they can have more variance in their performance. And there will be games where the Clippers just look like they outgun them because it's like Zoo has 25, Harden has 27, Kawhi has 30, and Norman Powell pours in 18 on
Yeah.
6 for 6 from three. They'll have games like that, but I think that they'll have more variance throughout the series because the Nuggets I think are a little bit smarter.
Well, I also think there's an advantage, Jason. Like when you have an elite scorer, Jokic, SGA, Jason Tatum this year, like Luca, the advantage is if a play gets loose, if it's a possession, the ball gets kicked around, you know who get the ball. You know who to get the ball to. Like the Warriors had a couple of bad possessions, and here comes Houston back. It's like, okay, every guy running up the court, it's like, let's get it to Steph. Let's get it to Jimmy. And like Houston is just athletic. And it's like, well, Fred VanVleet's not playing well. And Jalen Green's lost. Now, obviously, they're big. He from Turkey is just a fantastic player. Sengun
Mhm.
um, is a fascinating player to me because, first of all, very highly skilled.
Oh
He's
yeah.
got beautiful touch. I mean, it's just crazy how easy he makes the game look from like 8 feet in. It just both hands. It's like, God damn, that guy. And he was like the 16th pick or something. He was like middle of the first round. Um, but I guess going back to the point is, I think the reason Denver, when you have Jokic or Oklahoma City with SGA, it's like anytime you're kind of sputtering, it's just, okay, everybody walking the ball up the floor knows where you're going. And I thought Houston was kind of paralyzed by, they didn't trust their backcourt. Like, who's taking shots? And you just watch, it's almost a panic when I watch Houston late in this game. It's like they're not sure who to go to. And I thought Denver down the stretch really knew who to run the offense through.